I wanted to share a pic of the day I purchased the scooter. I didn't buy it locally, I actually bought it from an out-of-state seller. And as you can see, it's getting ready and prepped to be shipped to me. I don't think I'll ever purchase another scooter by viewing only pics. I think I paid a bit more than I should have. But at the end of the day, I don't regret it. Even that ugly rear box and a windshield that you couldn't see through, and all the little issues I had don't matter. After I worked on her and fixed her up, she turned out gorgeous, and I cannot wait to show her to you. Hello again, and welcome back to Ruby the Elite. And today we are moving on with our volume 4 of the Elite 250. And we're starting off today. I've got the panels back on the bike and I'm just taking a gander at it. One of the things I had mentioned on early is I wanted to make it look as nice as I could, but try to keep it still looking like it's from 1985. That's not exactly easy to do, but we're going to attempt it. One of the things that we did were, we kept the gold rims, we kept everything pretty much the way that it looks up to this point, but now we're going to make a few changes. Now, I did share with you that top plastic, and that plastic is ready to go on, and that's going to make a huge difference. But if you remember, we've got some rash on the other side of the bike. That's got to be taken care of. And I think I know what I'm going to do to make it look pretty. Try to make it still feel the way that it did in 1985 and maybe put a little bit of a twist on it. With this being all scratched up, I had to do something about it. And of course, you saw what I bought to replace it. And it goes on through the other side of the bike. I won't show you that. But it's something that we needed to take care of. We found that brand spanking new piece. And that is going to make such a huge difference by installing this on the bike. But I can't just put this on and then have all that rash on the other side. So I need to make this look good, but I don't have all the original pinstriping. I'm not going to be able to use that. So I'm going to have to put some kind of a new twist on the bike in order to make it still look its age and tie it all together. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you like the way it comes out. And if not, that's okay too. You don't have to ride the bike. But if you do like it or don't, I still want to hear your comments when it's all done. Let me know what you think of it. I'm going to try not to give too much away in this video so that at the end, you're going to see the finished product. And that's kind of where I wanted it to lead. So I'm going to show you what I can, and then at the end of the video, show you the final reveal. So let's get started. Alright, let's start with this passenger peg. The original owner had replaced it with a black one. I guess he couldn't find a red one for it, but I got to at least have the same colors on both sides. I found one, and we'll go ahead and replace it. Very simple to replace. I've already removed the top rubber. Now you just have to remove the screw, and it will come right off. As so. The new red one, I did try to clean it, and it would not get clean. So I think it's just dirt that's been sitting in it for 30 years. But it didn't matter. I went ahead and slid it on, and you can't tell anyway. You just got to go ahead right there when you're done sliding the rubber on. Put the screw in place. Once you're done, just tuck it all back in, and you are good to go. Back to having red. Of course, the red's not going to be exactly the same color. They never are. Alright, let's start taking off our Candy Orchid Red front cover. I'm just showing you where the screws are that hold it in place. Very simple to remove it. Also, this cover came in a summer blonde metallic. Just in case you wanted a gold bike, you could have had one. And as you can see, the screws, they all look the same. Next, we'll take off the screw that holds the coolant cover on. Of course, missing a screw irritates me when I find missing screws. The rest here, they're all pretty close to the same size. These ones that are holding these little grills on, they're a bit longer. And we also have some on the underside here that hold this front grill on. One goes right there, and then there's one on the other side as well. Then the whole front grill will pop off. Mine's got some rash on it for sure. We're going to have to doll this up a bit. And then especially on this side where the bike went down at one point in its life. But we'll fix it up. No worries there. We'll make it look pretty again. Or at least better than it looks now. We got a couple of bolts on this side. And then also a couple of bolts on this side. We'll remove those next. We also have the front reflector on this side. Comes off the same way, which gives you access to the screws behind it. Again, the same size. Once you get that finally off, here you go. Finally, the whole front cover will come straight off, and it reveals a lot of dirt. Now that we have the plastic removed, oh, the obvious pizza pointer is back to show us the screws that we obviously have to remove. Thank you again for your help. At least today you're not showing your hand. And all of these have to be removed in order to go on to the new piece of front plastic. It doesn't come with any of these. Thank you again, Pizza Pointer. Removing the bolts for the bottom front cover. That's next. We also have to remove these screws that are on the bottom front in order to get it off. Now we'll start getting all the old pinstriping off the bottom front cover and get it prepared. The top and bottom front cover have this black piece of plastic that goes on the inside or under by the tire. Only one of the 4 screws are there because the other 3 are broke. This won't be going back on the bike. And with that cover off, you can see the 37 years of dirt, grime, whatever you want to call it. The nastiness. And it's always the same kind of textured, greasy griminess that's all over the stuff that's underneath these plastics. You can just tell that it's been on there for a long, long time. But it's not a big deal. We'll go over the whole thing under here just to make sure everything is in tip-top shape. And we'll look to make sure the wiring is okay and all the other things under here are fine when we start to do our cleaning. You know, checking all these cables, checking everything. But we'll get back to all that in a moment. You know, I always have a box of these cotton swabs extra on my tool bench. You never know when you're going to need them. They actually do a much better job of cleaning up parts on your bike than they do your ears. Most doctors don't even recommend you use them for your ears. So what are you going to use them for? Well, just clean up all the dirt and the cracks on your bike, and at least then you can get some use out of those swabs. We're going to address the road rash now. Ugh. So tough to look at this, especially when I've got the new panel and this is the bottom panel. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to sand it all down. Get it as flat as we can and get it prepared to look as nice as we can for the next step. I can't find my brake lubrication tool, so I'm going to have to show you a quick and easy way here with a baggie cut. Put some oil on the top of it and move it up and down until you get some nice lubrication. It's so much easier when you have the right tool though. But that ended up working out and it's lubricated. Alright, we've gone ahead and removed everything from the old front cover and put it onto the new one. And now it is ready to be installed. Keep that in mind. If you go to sell the old one, you have everything off of it. Because we have the covers and everything off the front, it made it extremely easy to install the new brake cable. You could see actually the path of where it needs to fall and how to get the cable routed very simply. It's much easier with it all taken apart like this. It only took me a few minutes to route the cable along the side of the Speedo cable. Another very common question I get, what do I use to clean with? You know, the best cleaner I've found for situations like this is Simply Green. You know, you don't want to spray it all around in here like a fool. Spray it on a rag, wipe down what you can, and where your fingers can go, and use Q-tips for the rest. Do the best you can. Some of the stuff, you'll use a cleaner on it, and it's not going to do any justice, but that's okay. Look at that reservoir. It looks like blue coolant now instead of the green. You know, another thing while I was doing my detective work under here, I found a wire that needed some attention. I would have never known that if I didn't go through the trouble that I'm going through now. So don't be lazy. Take some time while the covers are off to make sure everything is okay before you put them back on. After doing some research, I found out that by replacing a few parts, it might help with that deceleration backfiring I'm getting. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the vacuum and fuel line with brand new stuff. I have a whole line of it. I've already replaced the clamps, so I'll reuse those. Of course, I've already got a brand new fuel filter on there as well. But once I go ahead and put it all back together again, maybe that'll help. Another issue could be the exhaust gasket. I've already replaced that. And the final thing is the carburetor insulator. Now, as I was pulling off the line from this air cut valve assembly, the inlet came right off in my hand and broke. I couldn't believe it. Thank goodness I did have another one in my parts bin and I installed it. Just comes to show you that the metal is so much more brittle on this junky Chinese carb than a real carb. So I'll go ahead and put all the lines back in along with those clamps. We'll get it all looking nice and pretty, and hopefully that's going to help. The exhaust gasket's installed. I'm not replacing the exhaust, so I hope that's not causing it. But the only other thing it could be is that carburetor insulator. And, you know, with everything else done, if we still have a problem, I can go ahead and order that and replace it. But let's see how this does. One of the things I forgot to mention were these pliers in one of my previous videos. What a great set of professional wire stripper crimper cutters. Say that 10 times. What a nice job it did though. These are like $15 and it makes such an easy job when you want to just strip some wire. Now the wiring that I used was 16 gauge. And in a previous video I showed you how to tie into a wire. This is what you use in order to put two wires together. It's just a butt, B-U-T-T, connector. Use these crimpers and you go ahead and do a very hard crimping job on each side. And when you're done, you just heat up each side and you make it weatherproof. Now, I didn't name them butt connectors, but that's what they're called. And they made an easy job of just putting two wires together, as you see. You know, I've been asked over the years, what's the easiest way to get rid of stickers, pinstriping, whatever you've got on the car or motorcycle, boat, anything, and it's always going to be a heat gun. The only drawback is if you leave it in one place for too long, you could cause yourself more problems, but as long as you move it along at a nice pace, it will eventually get all of that adhesive real loose, and then buying a chemical like that will help take care of whatever's left. This is the side that didn't have the rash on it, and it all came off easily. Now we are going to prep this piece. As you can see, this doesn't have a whole lot of problems. This is the side that does. So we're going to go ahead and prep this and take care of it. Now on our two side panels on the back, we no longer have this pinstriping anywhere on the bike, so we're going to take it off. As much as I wanted to leave it on, it didn't make sense to keep it on the side panels and nowhere else. So this is coming off too. We'll go ahead and use the heat gun. And once we're done with the heat gun, again, it comes off very easily. But you're going to see it's going to be a darker shade underneath. That's because over the years, that's what the sun does. But it doesn't look too bad. Of course, we'll use our adhesive remover for the little bit that's on the ends. Spray it on down. After I let it sit, you can see how it's a little darker there. But that's not going to matter. We're going to take care of that anyways. So now that that is all removed, we'll move on to the other side panel. Before the final reveal in a moment, I wanted to show you these gas tank wings. I added these to the bike as well. I changed them up a little bit and made them my own. I've always liked the way these look. The older wings rather than the robotic new ones. But where am I going to put them? I guess I'll show you now. And without further ado, here she is, and she looks gorgeous. My 1985 Honda Elite 250. And that new front upper plastic is just gorgeous. There's not a nick on it. As I had mentioned, I couldn't save the pinstriping obviously off the old one, but I didn't care. I don't like it on there anyway. I much prefer having it not be there. As far as the wings, I painted them gold and I added them to the upper headlight surround plastic. And then that's one of the Honda logos that was on the side of the old upper plastic. I decided to move it there instead. I didn't want to put any new holes or wreck that top plastic. But look at how nice she came out. As you can see, I put some different type of pinstriping on the rear, and it just brings it all together. All kinds of changes that I made to her. You know, as far as the bumpers being a flat black instead of that shiny black, I really like the way they came out. And then using that silver pinstripe in the middle rather than the red, kind of tied together with that other pinstripe I put above it. One thing that I thought right away when I was done though is look at these carpets. I mean, they look so much nicer than the rubbers that were on there. Really gives it a classy type feel. It's something I've never seen on one of these 250 Elites. If you find these, which I had a real hard time finding them, take a look at the gold, folks. The gold on the bottom plastic. That was the major difference there. And then I also painted it along the bottom in the gold. And I put that same pinstripe from the top of that plastic all the way down to the end. I also put that silver stripe on those pieces that go over the front rims too. And I think that really made it look cool. I've never seen anybody put any of the pinstriping on those, so I figured I'd do that. You know, I did paint that thing, that cover that is for the coolant. I painted it gold just because the red was nowhere near the same color as that new plastic and it looked kind of odd. It was pink. So I decided to paint it the same as that lower plastic. Gives it a little bit of a different feel. You know, the only thing that kind of looks strange on the bike is that seat. I still don't know if that's the original seat cover or not, but I don't care. It's going to stay this way. Take a look at the transmission cover. That looks cool too. So much to see. Look, today the engine oil little indicator came on. I'm going to have to put my key in there and reset it to green. This is always the funnest part though, the reveal. Showing you the way she looks. Let me go ahead and start her up for you. The digital dash, it's just so cool. I don't know why they did away with this on the later, I think the 89 or 90, they went back to a analog dash. Not exactly sure why. But right now she's idling a bit high. I got a little bit of tuning still to do. Everything on her works. She's ready to have some fun on. I'll be doing some test runs in some future videos. I did ride it around the block, and it does need a little bit of work as far as the tuning, but she's quick, I'll tell you that. It's like night and day between riding this and riding Ruby. With twice the power, it's a big difference. You know, I even considered taking the engine out of this and putting it in Ruby. How cool that would be. But now, because this looks so good, I'm definitely not going to do it. This is going to become one of the bikes in my stable. You know, and yeah, you can see right there how the color is slightly different. That's okay. That new rear peg looks good. I can't get over how much I really like the way the gold came out. Adding that gold and silver and black, it just all brought it together. So I guess I am looking for comments from y'all. What do you guys think? Did I go too far adding these silver and black stripes, or do they look good? Of course, I like to hear everybody's comments. I cleaned this all up back here too. And it's much, much nicer than it was. Kind of hard to see, but the gas tank is all nice and clean. And she's ready to roll, and I can't wait to bring those videos to you. We're going to start doing some ride-alongs and having a lot of fun doing some video logs. And I'll tell you my opinion on all kinds of stuff, and you can tell me I'm crazy too. But if you like my videos, please subscribe. If you like the way this bike came out, let me know. I can't wait to hear all the comments. I'll see y'all soon.